So I told you I was coming back, and thank you for coming back also. We are still talking about the equity edge. If you haven't seen the last two videos where I'm reading an excerpt to sort of give you an idea of all of the great conversations we're having in this book, please go to jennifertardy.com, click on the equity edge, and you'll see some of those past videos in there as well. But today, I'm going to talk about a new excerpt. So for those of you who are new to watching these videos, the book that I have coming out on June the 17th, but you can pre-order right now, is called The Equity Edge, How Addressing Bias in Recruiting and Retention Drives Success. It's the edge that workplaces need, especially to navigate this season. And today, what I want to read an excerpt from, this is actually probably in my top four excerpts that I'm reading to you. This is in chapter 4, and it's Find, which is where we talk about top of funnel sourcing strategies for recruiters or anyone that's looking to increase diversity within their candidate pool. Okay, so let me read this to you. Okay. Have you ever wondered which identities most influence how you show up in this season of your life? I do. I've been thinking about it even more lately. I identify as Black. I identify as a woman. I identify as a daughter. I identify as a boy mom. I identify as a partner. I identify as a leader. I identify in many other ways too, yet the intersection of identities that shapes my thinking most powerfully today is being Black, a woman, and a mom. I could have mentioned that I also identify as brown skin. I identify as a single mother of 2 young sons. I identify as heterosexual. I identify as spiritual. These identities intersect and coalesce to form the whole me. The ways I self-identify shape how I think about work, about being a friend, about money and finances, about matters as serious as trust, and about matters as trivial as styling my locks for the day. I actually say that in the book. How I identify shapes how I approach many things. Even my decision to bet on myself as an entrepreneur was most powerfully, let's start that one again. Even my decision to bet on myself as an entrepreneur was shaped most powerfully by the 3 factors of being a mom, being Black, and being a woman. And the identities that are most significant to me in any given moment are also shaped by the season of life I'm in. When my sons are 30 years old, the identity of being a single boy mom may be less defining than it is now. That's the fun of changing seasons and retaining the ability to learn and grow throughout one's life. Here's my main point as we embark on this chapter. Increasing diversity in your workplace means making a good faith outreach effort in understanding where people are coming from in order to learn where they're going and why. Let me say that again. This is really important. Increasing diversity in your workplace means making a good faith outreach effort to understanding where people are coming from in order to learn where they are going and why. Now let's bring this around into recruiting or sourcing. If I already know that within our organization we are underrepresented among specific groups, as I'm thinking about filling positions, I'm thinking also about where we underrepresented, and I'm intersecting the two as a part of my strategy of increasing diversity. Let's use a position like an engineer. If I'm a recruiter and I already know that I have an engineering position open, right? But I'm also, so it's one thing to say, I'm looking for an engineer, which is going to lead me to looking at the most mainstream places where you know you're going to find engineers, right? But if I'm also saying, hey, and we're also underrepresented among women within our organization. Now it's going to shift how I think about where I also go to source. It's not saying I don't go to these other mainstream places, but it's also going to make me think about what additional places can I go as I'm thinking about sourcing within our organization. And that's all I want you to think about here, except take it one step further, right? So intersect the two. What position, where are we underrepresented within the organization? Intersect those two. And I want you to think about where this group of individuals may want to spend their time. And it may not always be on a job board. When we're thinking about marginalized communities, we have to begin thinking about where do they feel safe? And safe for what, you're asking me? Because I can read your mind. Safe enough to bring their whole selves to the space without feeling judged and without biases, without having to navigate microaggressions. Where do they feel safest? And if you can begin thinking in terms of that as you're looking at sourcing to increase representation within your candidate pool, then you are well on your way. And I tell you all of those secrets in this book. So if you haven't gotten it, make sure you go and get it.